Hot summer nights, can't breathing again. Young core on the rise, yeah, the window kicking in. New faces in the club, out same hunger, same grind. Every pitch, every swing, yeah, they locked in time. From the bullpen to the bats, it's a problem this year. Whole league looking up like, yo, they really here. Hear the crowd start rumbling, feel it in your chest. This ain't hype, nah, this is real success. Every episode fire, every take cuts deep. If you talk ghost baseball, this the place to be. Big Town Sports, hey! On the stadium lights, crab cakes, hot takes, all summer nights. Big Town Sports, hey! When the city roars, best up and coming Orioles podcast, what you waiting for? From first pitch to the last out, we don't miss a beat. Breaking down the roster, yeah, we living in the sweet. Front office cooking, team built to last. This ain't just potential, nah, this team's built fast. October in the distance, you can feel that pull. Every night at the yard, got the place packed full. If you bleed orange and black, yeah, you already know. Big Town Sports, don't let the whole world know. Remember the name.
What's going on, everybody? It's been a little bit since we've last talked, but I'm excited to kind of get back and talk a little bit of Orioles baseball with you tonight. Things around the league are starting to move around a little bit. You see some teams are kind of missing out on some guys that, that they really wanted. Plans are changing and front offices are adjusting on the fly here. And it has me just a touch concerned. Not panicking yet, but maybe just concerned. And basically because when teams start missing out on their first options, that's when they tend to start getting a little bit more aggressive. And the big question for me right now is who's going to get aggressive, who's going to panic, who's going to maybe pivot to one of the players that the Orioles kind of have been going after. And are the Orioles as easily to sign some of these guys as they were maybe a week or two ago? So we're going to touch on some things tonight. Who's starting to feel the pressure, what teams might be starting to get desperate, why they might start starting to be getting desperate, and who are they going to kind of pivot to? So, I mean, obviously the very first one, right? It's got to be Alex Bregman. I mean, everybody and their mother thought that he was going back to Boston. So you see he took a 5-year, $175 million contract with no opt-outs to the Chicago Cubs. And listen, Boston's feeling the heat. The fans they're putting it on him a little bit. I don't think anybody expected Bregman to leave. Maybe the opt-out was kind of expected a little bit. I mean, at what he was getting around $20 million was, you expected Alex Bregman to get a little bit more. So you kind of knew he was opting out, but like to kind of think that Boston went and traded one of their best players, right? Whether he was a locker room issue or not, we really don't know. They could have made that up completely just to kind of justify the trade. But they basically made Alex Bregman the soft captain of their team, and then he opts out and signs elsewhere. Now, from the report that I heard, AJ Brzezinski talked about this today on Foul Territory. They made an offer to Alex Bregman early in the offseason. Red Sox basically were like, take it or leave it. Bregman's camp, which is Scott Boras here, came back and said, we have a higher offer and we're probably going to take it. So apparently the Red Sox front office says, we don't believe you. And that was that. And he went and took the offer from Chicago Cubs. And from what we've heard, the offer was only $10 million more. And the big kicker is a no trade clause. So, I mean, for me, like, it's only a 5-year deal. Like, if you think that there's a possibility you may trade Alex Bregman within 5 years, why are you even trying to sign him to begin with? Like, what was the whole point of that? Like, why not just give him what he wanted with a full no trade clause? Like, it made no sense. Like, were you that confident that you were going to sign him and nobody else was going to? It made no sense to me. But listen, they're feeling it. They're absolutely feeling it after that. Like, the fans are hammering the front office. The fans are hammering the GM. And where do they go from here? Well, okay, maybe they'll pivot. They're trying to talk themselves into they want to Bo Bichette more. Well, I mean, Bo Bichette may not sign there either, right? Then what do you do? Do they maybe go after Ranger Suárez? Yeah, I mean, sure, he's a little bit better. They had their eyes set on Nolan Arenado too. He's on the move now. Another deal that I didn't quite understand so much, but this was a guy the Red Sox were ideally linked to all offseason. And that gives them two guys that they've missed out on right now. So, look, St. Louis is paying a ton of money this year to not employ Sonny Gray and now Nolan Arenado. I think it's like above $50 million for the two of them to not play for their team. I'm not really sure what that says other than they really just kind of want to blow it up and start all over. But they're moving him off. I think they're paying over 75% of his salary, so Arizona doesn't pick up much. But again, like now dynamics have kind of changed a little bit. Maybe some other teams thought they had a shot with Nolan. Now this takes Arizona out of something else. Now definitely Eugenio Suárez is not going back to Arizona. Like there's a lot of different things at play here. So what moves does that leave with Boston, right? So do they pivot to Brendan Donovan? Do they try to maybe acquire Jazz Chisholm? Do they beg Arizona for Ketel Marte? Like, do they really think they're going to win the Bo Bichette sweepstakes? Like, this starts to put franchises in desperation mode. And I'm only talking about the Red Sox right now. Like, there's other teams in desperation mode right now. So let's keep moving it a little bit. Kyle Tucker, right? What if the Mets miss out on Kyle Tucker here? We've heard they're offering him an AAV of north of $50 million for just 3 years. So you're looking at 3 year, $150 million? That's some big cash. Well, the Dodgers also have a long-term deal, and the Blue Jays have confirmed a long-term deal with him. If the Mets miss out, right? Okay, now they become a little bit desperate, right? Now they've lost Pete Alonso. They traded Brandon Nimmo. They think that this is the best for their franchise, but I mean, let's just play hypotheticals here. If they miss out, now the Mets become desperate. Now, we can go this a step further. If the Yankees miss out on Cody Bellinger, now they did, prior to going live tonight, they did go and acquire Ryan Weathers, who I've been clamoring to get here in Baltimore for a long time. I mean, you've got a lefty throwing 97 with a damn good changeup, and he's got 3 years control. And they really only gave up their 15th ranked prospect, their 16th ranked prospect, and then just 2 other prospects. But they didn't give up a whole lot to acquire this guy. So, but it's still, I mean, this still comes back to my point. If they miss out on Bellinger, now I feel like Bellinger needs New York and New York needs Bellinger. They have to have each other at this point. If they miss out, that's another team is going to become desperate. Now, acquiring Weathers kind of maybe takes them out of the pitching market a little bit, maybe, but maybe it doesn't, right? So there's a lot of things to talk about, and why this concerns me a little bit, and why I'm even picking all this up here. So what if one of these teams pivots to Ranger Suárez or Framber Valdez? It's like, you know what? We've missed out on hitting. We tried so much. The trade market right now is just astronomical. We can't afford that market. Let's turn our sights to pitching, right? A week or two ago, I would sit here and tell you, and I'm pretty sure Ryan Ripken would sit there and tell you, we were damn confident that Ranger Suárez was going to be an Oriole. I'm here to tell you right now, they've had an offer out for Ranger for over 4 or 5 years. I don't know terms of numbers or anything like that, but if the 5-year deal's been offered and has been taken, does he want to play here? Is he really holding out for 6-7 years? I don't know. But I feel like at this point, if he wanted to be here, he would be here, right? So now I start to get a little concerned, right? Because all these teams I just talked about, if they pivot away from the hitter and they go towards the pitching, okay, well, now you got competition. Maybe a week or so ago, maybe you didn't. Now, I still think they end up getting it done, but it's not going to be as easy as it was a week or two ago, is basically what I'm saying. That's why my level for concern has kind of peaked a little bit, because now you're going to start having teams that are going to start entering that we didn't think about, who are starting to get desperate, who may just say, you know what? Who cares if it's 6 years? We'll spend it. Whatever. Even if it's at $30 million a year, they don't care. They have a little bit more money than we do. Their markets are a little bit better. So that's what I'm just a little worried about. And even when you read it here. So from Tyler Milken, who's one of the bigger Red Sox guys, basically saying on Sunday, hours after the Bregman news broke, industry sources indicated the Red Sox were at least considering a pivot to focus on pitching. So again, if the Red Sox continue to miss out on some of these bats, do they become a player for the guys that the Orioles thought that they kind of had in the bag? You can about damn well sure that's going to happen, right? They're not going to sit there and just let their fans just crush them the whole time. Eventually, somebody's going to pivot and get desperate for Ranger Suárez. So that's what kind of, we've struggled to, I mean, obviously they landed Pete Alonso. I'm not taking anything away from that. But prior, they would always struggle to kind of close a deal. Sometimes not their fault. Maybe sometimes it is. Not saying right now is their fault. Not saying it's not either. But we're seeing another instance where there's a deal on the table and it hasn't been taken. Like, and in this situation, like I know Scott Boras is holding out for that 6th, maybe 7th year. And again, he stated he's willing to wait for a team to get desperate in spring training after a big injury, but a team could get desperate prior if they keep missing out on hitting. But, another thing you got to worry about too, and I mentioned it, the Mets may pivot towards pitching. Like they're not blind to the frustration of their fans. You can read in this tweet from SNY. They're going to do what's right for their franchise. Now their pitching is good. Everybody's pitching can get better. Like you miss out on Kyle Tucker, you miss out on Cody Bellinger, right? You're probably already not in the market for Bo Bichette. Like you have to turn your eyes to the pitching at that point. So to me, it's just where I start to get a little nervous. It's like I'd rather get this done and I get it done early rather than now let's open the door for all these other teams. And this is exactly what Scott Boras is doing. He knows what he's doing. He's got all the big name free agents. He knows when Bregman goes and Bellinger goes, teams are going to start getting desperate. He knows this. He knows how to play the game, and that's what makes me nervous. He's very good at playing guys against each other. He's very good at playing GMs to kind of tell them what they want to hear. So my concern level is just a little high, maybe higher than some other people around here, but that's fine. But I don't think the Orioles are out on Ranger Suárez by any means. Like I said, they do have the 5-year deal out for him. Again, numbers don't know, but at what point do you pivot away from him? If that door does swing open and all these other teams kind of start jumping in and they start talking at 30 plus or that 6+ year, when do you pivot away? Like how aggressive do you get on Ranger Suárez or Framber Valdez? I'm pretty positive the Orioles are out on Framber Valdez. I haven't had any confirmation on that in a couple weeks now, but prior it was, we're out completely. But there's things to kind of go around. There's other guys. I mean, I don't even want to talk about it, but like Zach Gallen's out there. I'm not a fan of Gallen. I don't think he's that much better than anything we have in the current rotation right now. If Zach Gallen was my option, I would take the 5 guys that I got and try to get to the trade deadline. But that's just me. But when do the Orioles pivot, right? And who do they pivot for? Is it Harrison Bader? Do you pivot towards a bat at this point? The starting 5 that they have is fine, right? It's not amazing. It's not going to jump off the charts, but it's more than capable of getting you to the trade deadline at this point. And with a winning record, probably better than just a winning record. Like the 5 guys they have right now are pretty good, right? They could get you to a point where then you go and acquire maybe Hunter Green just loses it in Cincinnati or something like that. And then maybe you jump in the Screwball sweepstakes or something like that. But when's that point? When do you maybe turn to Cody Bellinger, right? His demands right now, a little high. And I completely understand if they don't want to pivot to him. Again, I still think that Bellinger's he needs New York. When you look at his numbers, the home and away splits last year, they weren't the greatest. He was a very good hitter in New York. He probably wasn't any bit better than, what Dylan Beavers would be full-time away from New York. And I'm talking rookie Dylan Beavers. So do you pivot to that? Do you think that, even I would say Baltimore has a fairly short right field, but it's obviously not as short as New York, but I just think they're a match made in heaven. How much longer until they get that done? Is Kyle Tucker still in play? Now you've heard the multiple long year deals. You've heard the short years with the high AAV. Like, could the Orioles find their way in the mix of that? I don't know. I really don't. But if you're starting to lose out on pitching and you have to pivot to a bat, like you got to make one of these decisions pretty fairly soon too. You're not probably going to put yourself in a Brendan Donovan situation. Like, he doesn't really help you anywhere. Isaiah Paredes doesn't really help you. I mean, he's a great hitter, but do you need a third baseman, first baseman? Not really. I don't think the lineup is set by any means, in my opinion. But it's tough to tell. It's tough to tell. So is the trade route still the best option? That's the next best question. So, we've heard today that, Mackenzie Gore is still, the Nationals are still fielding calls for Mackenzie Gore. And that's fine and dandy. Gore's a good pitcher. I think he would probably slot as a 5 in our rotation right now. I think, upside is very good for Gore, but the premium for left-handed pitching, it's horrible. You're going to have to give up probably for Mackenzie Gore. I'm thinking at least 3 top 20 prospects, maybe even 2 top 10. Potentially Trey Gibson. Like, do you want to do that? Because left-handed pitching's it's at a premium. Everybody knows it. Do the Nationals even want to trade him? Probably not. But you blow him away. Did the Marlins really want to trade Ryan Weathers? I don't think they did, but they got the guy that they've been wanting for years. They went and got him. Sometimes that's what you're going to have to do. So I don't think you're going to see a trade for a bat at all, but a trade for an arm. Freddie Peralta, that market is exploding right now with offers. Can the Orioles beat out some of these other teams that want him? No, I don't think they can. They don't have enough top 100 prospects to land him, even if it is just a 1-year deal. These other teams don't care. The Dodgers just pump out prospects like it's going out of style. They draft so well. They develop so well. It's tough to compete with some of those teams. And can they do it? Maybe. They would have to really overpay because they just don't have the quality of prospects as some of these other teams. But, like I said, with Peralta's an idea. Hunter Green is still available, apparently. I know people keep saying Joe Ryan's been pulled off the market. Pablo Lopez has been pulled off the market because of these new minority owners. That's fine. Again, if you wow Minnesota, you can land one of those guys. Joe Ryan and Freddie Peralta are probably the 2 best, and I would say that they're probably both better than Framber Valdez and Ranger Suárez. Would they be the pivot that you would move to? Maybe. Framber's good. Framber did very well last year in his career, honestly, against playoff teams, against good teams and stuff like that. His second half was probably one he wants to forget for a really long time. Not to mention, what he did with the catcher and whatnot. I hear people's frustrations with Ranger as well, only throwing 91. But when I was talking to Lance Berzowski the other day, I don't know if you guys all caught that stream or not, but Lance basically said that Philly actually made him throw a little softer. It's not just his body. It's not like he's losing fastball. They asked him to throw just a little softer, and he got better. Like, his numbers across the board got better. The spin rate got better. So maybe it was just a Philly thing. Maybe he really doesn't throw. Maybe he isn't losing that velocity like everybody thinks. I've seen some people say like, oh, under the hood, Ranger Suárez really isn't that good. Well, under the hood, Ranger Suárez dominated really good teams. Dominated. One of the best in baseball last year against teams that made the playoffs. Framber was decent. So I wouldn't say that under the hood Ranger's not very good. I still think that he's the guy for the Orioles. I still think that I shouldn't say I think at this point. I'm hoping it gets done at this point. I would just like to see it get done sooner rather than later. Again, I don't want to open the door up to all these other teams. So, do you guys share the same concerns that I have? We'll get to some of these comments here. Let me hide that one, though. Let's see. Benjamin says, Belly and Tucker are both overpriced. I agree. They are overpriced. Bellinger more probably than Tucker. Look, he's had some great seasons. He obviously won an MVP with the Dodgers. He knows how to hit, but it feels like, the metrics have fallen off over the years, and he did fine in Chicago, but he did real well last year. We're not going to sugarcoat that. He did really well last year in New York, but I feel like that New York just kind of helped him along with that short porch and whatnot. The field was kind of bred for him. The smaller outfield allowed him to play center field more effectively than somewhere like Chicago. Could he do that again in Baltimore? Maybe. I don't think he'd be as effective. I think you would maybe. I hate to even say this, but it's putting a lot of pressure on the kid. But I feel like you could get similar production out of Dylan Beavers that you could Cody Bellinger in this next season. And that puts a lot of pressure on Dylan Beavers. And I hate to even say that because Bellinger won an MVP at one time. But I think Dylan's a damn good ball player, and he's got a great swing, and I just think he's going to blossom in this league. So I said it. First number 15 pick a few years ago, Shaw from Maryland. He gives O's to death, not knowing he will sign Young Corn in a few years. Sorry. So Daniel's talking about Matt Shaw from the Cubs, who they are looking to move right now. I think it would cost a good bit of money to acquire, not money, but like prospects to acquire Matt Shaw, probably pitching. You may probably have to give up Luis De Leon for that and maybe Trey Gibson. Shaw's good. He's got some learning to do in this league, but he's very good. He is obviously from Maryland. It'd be a lot of fun to bring him here. But at that point, like, what do you do with Jordan Westburg? And, do you move Shaw to second, third? What do you do with Westburg? What do you do with Holiday? So at that point, like, you should have just went out and signed Bo Bichette or Alex Bregman if you wanted to bring in an infielder. But I definitely get it. I do like Matt Shaw, though. It seems like free agent trade options are too much money this year, and price for the trades are too high. Idea trade with the Cubs with one of their extra pitchers, and Shaw was now an odd man out with a free agent signing, good depth. Yeah, so the thing with Shaw is, like, I agree with you. We were just talking about he's a great player. I just don't know if giving him bench at bats as a depth man is good. Like, he's a young guy. He needs to get going in this league, and just kind of giving him those kind of bats, I think, would kind of put him behind. Same thing with Jeremiah Jackson, but it is what it is. You got to make a move eventually, but I don't know. I don't think Matt Shaw would be a guy that I would want to put on my bench. It'd be a guy that I want to try and I agree with you. We don't know who's going to sign long term, so would he be nice to have? Yes, but if I'm getting him, I want him to play every day. Austin says, needs another Orioles splash again. Me too, man. Sell the farm for Hunter Green and get Bellinger and Tucker. I wouldn't be against it. It's just, it's going to take a hell of a lot. Joe Ryan might be a trade option. He's now not attending Twins Fest and is fighting in his arbitration for over $700K. I wanted to get excited about that when I heard about it earlier, but he could just be sick or something like that, Excuse me. So it is running around. So we don't really know why he's not going. It wasn't really said, but it would be nice. It'd be nice. Joe Ryan would really elevate this team big time. Spend the money on the pitcher, or spend the money on either Bellinger or Tucker, and then trade for a pitcher with the extra pieces that it adds. That's been kind of my MO this entire offseason, is just find what you can get, sign the bat. The bat is going to take you as far as you can get right now, and then go from there. And like you said, you add the extra pieces. I think Colton Cowser's going to have a great year. I think he still has a lot of value in this league. Now he's coming back healthy. I think teams would gladly take him in a trade. I think they would probably ask for Dylan Beavers first, which we probably wouldn't want to do. But if it was for Hunter Green or something like that, I think we would all do that. BCB says, fire intro. I appreciate that, man. Brian says the same thing. Intro was fire. I appreciate it, guys. I wonder how much longer till the pitching market starts to move. It might happen quick. Now. I don't know. Like I said, like I was talking about this whole show, it depends on who gets desperate and when they get desperate. That's the scary part. I think Yankees and Cubs trading for starters from Miami helps us get Suarez. I hope so. It definitely takes at least two teams out. So the Cubs, missing out on I think made them a touch desperate, but they decided to go the hitting route. They get some guys back this year healthy, but I still think the Cubs have just enough ammo to go and acquire one more arm, and whether that be signing a free agent or trading for another one. They're a big market team that haven't spent for a while, so they've got plenty of money. They're still a team that I would watch for. James says Boston should go and get Bichette. I think that's probably their plan, but I mean, how many times have you seen somebody like, the Phillies get outbid for a guy that they want? It's not often. So I wouldn't put my stock into that too much. Who do I think is the next big name to get signed? Next big name, I think it's probably going to be Tucker. I think because Bellinger's probably waiting it all out to see what happens. Typical Boris. Tucker's not a Boris guy, so I think he'd be more inclined to sign a little bit earlier. And then I think Framber would probably go right after that. Maybe. I think Framber right now, Framber and Ranger, I think, are waiting on each other. Who gets more? And then the next one's going to say, well, I deserve more. So there might be a waiting game, but there might not be either. Who knows? How many guys with options do you want in your bullpen ideally? And is the bullpen the move you foresee happening? Ideally, you want at least 2. I don't know if if you kept Cade Stroud, obviously that gives you 1. I don't know who else would give you 2 at this point other than Cano. And do you want to start Cano in the big leagues? But he would satisfy your second option. But ideally, 2. I don't think it's a huge deal as long as you have at least 1. And the bullpen move I foresee happening that I would love to happen at least is Michael Kopech. We need more guys that throw in the upper 90s, 100 miles an hour. It's a game changer late in the game. I could also see maybe a move for a hard throwing lefty. Maybe Morjan from San Diego. I really doubt that one because they're going to try and make a run for it. But, us in San Diego have made some moves. I think Preller is still trying to make his team better right now. I wouldn't be shocked if maybe a conversation about Nick Pivetta pops up. His contract is okay. It's not the greatest, but it's affordable this year, like really affordable. And if you can get the same success this year, put you in a good spot. So maybe they could do a two-fee, get 2 guys and throw a whole bunch of prospects back their way. They kind of depleted their farm system, so I could maybe see that happening. But I don't know. Red Sox are in a no-spend era. It's weird, isn't it? Like, you're talking about the only team left in the major leagues that hasn't spent $1 on their major league roster. $0 so far. And I think we all know that that's not going to happen that often. Like, they're eventually going to spend something. And this is what scares me is they're feeling pressure really bad right now. And I don't want that pressure to make them pivot to Ranger Suárez. That's my biggest concern. Biggest concern. And reports are Tucker's going to decide in the next few days. They say that. He either already knows where he's going or he doesn't, and I don't think it's going to be a couple days. At this point, like if you have some of these out there already, these contracts, you kind of have an idea where you're going. Seems like nobody wants to play in New York City. It's not a nice place. It's not a nice place. People crack on Baltimore all the time. New York's not the greatest place in the world. There's a couple little sections that's really nice, but it's kind of, YouTube's out of control with the commercials. Oh, I'll be honest with you. I don't know how any of that works. To be honest with you, James. I also have Prime, so I haven't seen a commercial in years. I was more like forced to buy Prime because I have 3 kids that are under the age of 7. And every time an ad came on or a commercial, they lost their mind, right? We're watching Bluey, so I had to get Prime. So I have no idea. I apologize about that though, James. Getting a tiny bit concerned yourself, says Orioles Ravens. Yeah, I mean, panic hasn't set in just yet. I just don't want that door to open up. Thoughts on the Jays making an official long-term offer to Tucker? What does that mean for Toady Taters? I think they would probably try to move Taters, to be honest with you. They would probably shut that door pretty quick on him. I think last year was a desperation sign. They needed somebody that could help their offense. They thought he could help it. I think they would quickly turn the tables on that and try to move him. And they may even eat some money in doing so. I don't know. I really don't know. I want them to get Framber and hope he isn't a nightmare attitude-wise. So what I have heard is the interviews did not go that well with Framber, and the issues or concerns with the attitude were present. So again, weeks ago when I was told that they were out on Framber, those were the reasons why. Obviously, when things change, and we're seeing changes all around the league right now, those doors could reopen. So it's never a definite. 3-4 weeks ago, they were definitely out on Framber. At this point, I would say that the door's cracked in case they have to pivot that way. James says time is now to pivot. I'm guessing you mean pivoting towards a bat. No to Bellinger, rather have Tucker. Yeah, so you're talking about the bat. Yeah, I mean, Bellinger's fine. If we ended up with Bellinger, you wouldn't hear me complain. Obviously, I think we all would rather have Tucker. Both have injury concerns anyway, but I mean, at this point, you're taking the experience and the playoff experience at this point. Rick says, I still think we get Ranger. I do too. Like I said, just at this point, my concern level's up. I just wanted to get it over with. Wav Sirius says, how does Boston even pivot now? That's what I'm afraid of. I feel like at this point now, like all options are on the table for Boston. And that just raises my concern. I know Jared Carabas, or I butchered the hell out of his name, and I apologize. I know he was on Ryan Ripken's show earlier. He thinks Rangers coming here, but he admitted himself, he doesn't know what the Red Sox are going to do. He doesn't think the Red Sox know what they're going to do, and that's what scares me. That's what honestly scares me. When a team gets that desperate, they have no idea what they're doing, they start turning over every rock, right? And they start looking at every single thing, every single player. The books that were closed, they didn't really need a starter. Well, if they can't land any hitting, why not try to beef up the starting pitcher even more, right? And then you turn to Framber. Then you turn to Ranger. Like, that's what has me concerned. And it's not going to be just Boston here shortly. It's going to be some other teams, and that's just kind of what the whole thing was about tonight. Thoughts on Bassett to get to go to the deadline? Bassett's good. He could handle. Bassett is a touch better than what you're going to see out of the healthy Zach Eflin. So again, you're adding more quality depth to the rotation. He's not a guy that obviously jumps off the map for you, but he's a guy that can get you to the deadline, and he's a guy that'll get you some quality innings, a lot of innings, and you won't hear me complain about it. Is he better than Dean Kramer? Yeah. I mean, I don't say that like strongly. Is he better? Yeah. But I'm not saying like he's that much better. Is he a full ERA better? No, right? He's a mid-3 to a low 4 guy, which is what you're getting out of Dean Kramer. So, Dean sits at that low 4. So you're just getting a slightly better upgrade. So he helps. You won't hear me complain. I think at this point, the whole fan base, myself included, just wants a big swing at the top of the rotation guy. Bellinger, yes, he was DFA'd by the Dodgers. Yeah, he really struggled at the end there. He really struggled. He found his footing back in Chicago. He had a lot of injuries at the end of his Dodgers career. But for him to get DFA'd and like not really traded and whatnot, signing that 1-year deal in Chicago, and he had a solid season. He kind of rebounded a little bit, and then he rebounded even better in New York. So he's a guy that's finding himself again, but he's still just 5-6 years away from his last MVP. Like, that player's in there somewhere. So that's what makes his story so crazy. What are Bellinger's postseason numbers? Heard they were bad. Good question. Let's take a look. I've never looked at that. Especially against Tucker. I don't know. He has a 211 batting average, 10 home runs, 37 RBIs, and 33 runs in 76 games. So I guess you could say that's bad. I mean, 76 games is great. 211, obviously not great. So he sports a 660 OPS in his postseason career. So yeah, not great. Hit 115 in the 2018 LDS, and then hit 353 in 2021. So Bellinger, he is what he is, right? He's very streaky, inconsistent kind of guy. Stays a touch healthier than Kyle Tucker though. If the unlikely outcome happens and they sign Bellinger, does that mean they have less confidence in getting Ranger? I think so. I do think so. When you go and pivot to a bat, I think I don't want to say shut the door on a starter, but I think you pivot to trading for a starter at that point, because now you have major league assets to kind of trade for that starter. What would it take for them to put a bigger effort in to go after Framber, assuming that they aren't as eager now because of character concerns and a poor second half performance? Listen, if other teams are sharing that same concern and you think that you maybe can keep him under control for 3 years, I would throw a 3-year deal at him at a high AAV. We'll say 35, 40, right? If he's an issue, hey, kick rocks, bud. It's just 3 years. For the most part, I feel like this guy is going to keep himself under control for 3 years. I don't think he's going to have an issue. But you never know. I mean, if things go south, if he gets into a clubhouse next year that has the same season that the Orioles just had last year, high expectations, and starts to lose, yeah, he might lose his cool a little bit. But you get him into a winner, I think he's going to be okay. Here, waiting for Framber and Kyle to sign with the Orioles. Uncle Mike do it. Man, that would be fun. That would be fun. Instantly the best team in the AL at that point. It's expensive. It's going to be really hard to outbid everybody else, but it'll be a lot of fun. I can't ignore the Framber and Elias connection. It just feels like it's who we'd end up with. I don't think you're wrong. I mean, Mike obviously knows who Framber is from when he was younger. You know, he spent a couple years with him, not a ton of years, but a couple years with him, kind of coming up through the minor leagues. So yes, he does know who he is as a person. I'm sure he's had multiple conversations with him. I'm sure he's still reached out to people in Houston to kind of get a gauge on him. Very well could be the guy they pivot to. I'm not sure. I keep seeing Elias talk about getting more center field depth in free agency. Do you think he's returning to a camp body or a guy who actually competes in 26? I would say if he's looking for somebody, he's looking for somebody to compete. And that would be Bellinger or Bader or Buxton if he's available somehow. I don't think he really is. I'm still high on Cowser, probably higher than I need to be. I think he's finally healthy. He's got a full off season to finally work on some things. He's got a new coaching staff who's going to bring a new hitting philosophy. Hopefully it's not just turn and burn all day long. I noticed some weird things when I was looking up Cowser, and he didn't really pull the ball in the air at all last year. Like, it kept going down, and he hit the ball in the air the other way more, which didn't make any sense in our ballpark. But he pulled the ball a lot on the ground. Like, his swing just felt like it was so ass backwards. And excuse my French there. It just felt like that he was so far in his own head, like trying this from the coaches and trying that and looking at the analytics and doing this, that he just forgot to get up there sometimes and just see ball, hit ball. Now, obviously, it's not that easy in the majors, but he just seemed like a guy that was just always overthinking. Like, he would let a fastball go, then he would chase the curveball or chase the slider, or then he would swing through a fastball. Like, it was always like he was just 1/2 second behind. And this coaching staff, and why I'm still high on him, is because the hard hit rates were still astronomical. They were still some of the best in the league. The launch angle was pretty decent. He's a guy that I think can turn it around with the right staff and the right guy in his ear, and just don't let him overthink in the box. Like, just go up there, dude. If you want to hit the ball the other way, hit me a line drive to left field, left center gap, hit the left line. I don't care. Hit a line drive up the middle, hit a hard ground ball up the middle. Just don't try to place the ball. Just go up there and swing. This coaching staff, I think, is built around to Cowser's strengths, and getting some of the better players in here ahead of him, Alonso and Ward, maybe takes a little bit of the pressure off of him to kind of hit the long ball as much, and be that power RBI guy. Now maybe he can just go out and just play baseball. So I do expect Cowser to have a pretty decent season, but it's all on this coaching staff to kind of fix him right now with the swing and miss rate. You fix a swing and miss rate with how often he hits the ball hard, you might see a really good hitter. It all comes down to that. Can he pick up the ball, pitch recognition, and can he square it up? But if they're still looking, they're looking for a reason. So if that reason is maybe they would need to trade him to another team, I don't know. But I do think it's probably Bader at this point, because Bader seems to be more affordable than Bellinger. We need some spark right now on this live. A big trading sign for the... You'd be hearing me jumping up and down. Is that Aaron Hicks on the screen on the inside of the park home run? Might have been. I just took a picture. I don't remember. How much would Bubic cost? Good question. Now, obviously coming off some injuries, didn't have as good of a season, but he's still left-handed, so the price is going to be high. They do need an outfielder, and there's a way that you could eat some of Tyler O'Neill's money and trade him. Do they want him? I don't know. Might end up costing you Dylan Beavers. I hate to even say that. But look, young, controllable left-handed starters, it's going to cost a lot. It's going to cost a lot. Something I probably don't even want to think about. Evening, Laura. How's it going? Appreciate you stopping in. What do I think is the most likely package for Peralta to the Orioles? I've seen some good packages on Twitter here lately. I honestly think it would cost. I've seen Nate George floated around. I don't like that at all. I thought Cowser and Kramer were good enough to get that done. Maybe that same package, and then you have to throw in another arm too. That's what I don't know is like, do you want to give up on Esteban Mia? Do you want to give up on Luis De Leon? I think we all can answer that question and say no. But now listen, if you did one of those like trade and sign deals, like you're not acquiring him until you definitely get a yes that he would sign the extension, okay, then I'm good with going up Dylan Beavers. But, if I'm doing it for a rental, like it's still going to be high because at this point you have to outbid the Dodgers, who have 7 or 8 guys in the top 100. The Yankees got 6 or 7. Like it's going to be hard. So that's my thought, was to go and take from your major league roster Cowser and Kramer, but there's nobody's saying that's going to work either. Like they do want pitching, but I mean, could Tyler Wells help him? He's coming off an injury, but yes, he is controllable. Like there's a lot of different things. I don't think Povich helps them too much for what they're trying to do. Now they are very good at fixing guys, so maybe they could fix Povich. I don't know. I don't know how they value him. But most likely it would probably be Dean. I think Dean probably offers us the best package for them as far as pitching wise. I really don't know. That one's a tough one because so many teams are in on it. Are we still in on either both Bellinger or Tucker? In either or? I would say that they're still having conversations. I wouldn't say that they're in at this point. But if things maybe don't go the way that those guys are expecting and the agents are expecting, I would say that we're still at least getting phone calls back. I'll say that much. I don't want to make too much optimism. I want Ranger Suárez and Kyle Tucker tell lies to make another middle of the night deal. I don't care what time it is. Just, Mike, get the deal done. Think if we sign Tucker and the Ranger offer gets pulled, switching our focus to the trade market? I think so. For sure. Yeah, I mean, because you're allocating your money at that point to a bat, and then you're using your major league roster to acquire an arm. That would be pretty telling. Yeah. Totally with you, Zach. The longer it takes, the more nervous I get about Ranger. Yeah. I think we all kind of get a little nervous, just knowing that this team's passed, and yes, we've kind of gotten past that this year, very aggressively, but it's really easy to kind of just go back to it and just be like, here it comes again. But it's the nature of the beast of the market right now. It's not the Orioles' fault. Could you say it's the Orioles' fault? Maybe, but I don't think it is. I think these guys are just, it's early, it's January. They're trying to hold out for every freaking dollar they can get. And you can't blame them, I guess. Chad says new logo looks good. The one down here. Nice. Thanks. I have, I was going to add, I made it like spin around, and I could add it real quick. There we go. Make it just like doing the other one. But I think too many of them on this screen kind of gets a little annoying. But if I got rid of the other one, they all ended up looking good. I was playing around with some stuff. I threw that together right before the stream started. Just wanted to try and check it out. But it's working out pretty good. I don't believe in Bassett at all, to be honest, especially with his age. Yeah, Jackson, I agree with you. I think he's okay. I think he helps. Like I say, he's not jumping off the charts for it, but he helps. He's going to eat some innings for you, but that'd be about it. Joe says Belly over Tucker. I think the defensive aspect at that point, yeah, you're 100% correct, but I don't know if I would probably take Tucker's bat over Bellinger. Unless he had the same splits at Camden Yards, then obviously Bellinger would be better. But I think Tucker overall is probably the better player. Does anyone know if Noel passed through waivers? I haven't heard. Now. Andy Casa is on vacation. I know he did tweet something here pretty recently, but he is on vacation. I think he's out skiing somewhere. But when he gets back, I bet you he's the guy that's going to drop something and give us some knowledge on that. Go back to this. Excuse me. Damn Dan says the city's yours to be had, Orioles. Go get Framber. Can agree. The Marlins are dealing. Pick up the phone, Uncle Mike. I don't know much what else they have left. I mean, obviously they have a bunch of really, really young guys that are good, but like how much do you want to give up now? That's the big thing. Like Yuri Perez is young, good, been hurt, but I don't know. It's a question mark with them. They've got a ton of talent. I can tell you that. They've got a ton of talent. With the Ravens sucking, the Orioles can grab a hold of the city. I completely agree. Put Heston in center field. Woo pit suey. Woo pig suey. I don't think. I would just like to see Heston say hey, I'm good. Like obviously I've seen him on Instagram taking pictures. He looks healthy. But maybe just be like, hey, I'm fine. Like call Andy or Jacob Kavamire or somebody, Rich Dubroff. Just say, hey, like I'm coming to spring training this year. I'm still playing baseball. Like it'd be nice to get an update. I don't know. Resident Red Sox fan here. Effing Red Sox pissed me off the past 2 or 3 seasons. Not sure how you let Bregman walk. I agree. You sold the franchise's soul for that guy, and he kind of walked out the door on you. And you basically told him, like, no, we don't believe you when you said he had a better offer. So they kind of screwed themselves there. 30 days till college baseball. I think it's 37 days until pitchers and catchers report? It's getting close, man. Did Orioles set the pitching trade market with the Baz deal? Elias playing chess. I don't think so, because the Seattle and Nationals had that deal done first, where they sent their top prospect, the catcher, I forget his name, for that left-handed reliever. And yes, he had 4 or 5 years control. Yes, he throws near 100 miles an hour. But you gave up a highly touted prospect for that. I think that might have sent the market for at least for the lefty side. I don't know if the Orioles, so to say, said it. They went way higher than anybody else so far, that's for sure. Nobody's come close to what the Orioles have done, but they got their guy. But I will say, too, after talking with Lance Brodowski the other day, and after that the trade with Cabrera went down, like he flat out said he was on foul territory, and he was like, look, I've talked to people around the league. Cabrera hurt his UCL at the end of last season. I'm shocked he passed the physical. And so are other people around the league. So maybe the Orioles knew that and pivoted towards Shane Baz. And that at that point you had to pay the interdivision tax. That's possible. I thought it was pretty interesting to hear Lance say that. Alonzo is a friend of Kyle from high school. Yeah, they were on the same team. It would be awesome. It would be awesome. PV3 go crazy if Cowser bounces back. Listen, I'm all in for Cowser. I'm all in. I think, look, if Cowser has a good year, Paul's going to enjoy it too. Paul's just, look, I understand it. Like, the guy strikes out a lot, and we all want our team to win here. So, and Paul just wants a winning guy on the field, so he's a little hard on Cowser. I get it. Gabe says, do you think Mountcastle gets traded? I think that them adding that second year definitely helps the option to trade him. Nobody really wanted him for a rental. They weren't giving up a whole lot for it, but maybe, now that he's still fairly young, if he comes in early on, I don't think he gets traded before the trade deadline. Let's put it that way. I think he starts the season with the Orioles. I think from what I've heard, Kobe Mayo is expected to be retained, but go back to Norfolk. I put a short out about it yesterday. How would they feel about it? Kobe's agent feels like he's staying with the Orioles, but he will go back to Norfolk to learn the outfield. So that leaves Mountcastle as the backup guy there, which is fine. I'm okay with that. I mean, he's a decent bench bat maybe to come off. So I don't know. I don't know. I just think that he's a guy that at the trade deadline would fetch you a decent reliever compared to right now. Like teams, they need to see him hit. They need to see him hit. So he needs to come out and have a healthy spring. He needs to stay healthy, and then just go from there. Get his at bats, driving some runs a little bit, and just force his way into the lineup more. I don't know how, but do it. And then, yes, you'll see him get traded for something fairly decent. Bubic is a free agent at the end of this year, so I think he'd be cheaper. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. I still, just him being left-handed. Would he be cheaper than everybody else? Yeah, for sure. But just still being left-handed, it's not going to be cheap, so to say. I like Nate Jordan, Estrada, and Mejia. Please, Mike, don't trade those guys listed for Scoop. Yes. Yeah, Nate George is a stud. Absolute stud. And I think Nate George kind of firing onto the scene like that allowed them to trade O'Vern, because I thought O'Vern was probably going to hit the big leagues before OBJ just because he was kind of more of a complete hitter. Obviously, EBJ being a better defensive player, but the speed was very, very similar. Nate George is just kind of the whole package of all three of them combined right now. So, yeah, he's a guy that I expect big things for. Could probably see him in AA, AAA at the end of this year, maybe sooner than that. I don't know. Like, the guy's flying through, so who knows? Do I think O'Neill and Mayo will be in the Orioles this year? Mayo in AAA, yeah. I do think Mayo will be in AAA. And I do think O'Neill helps the Orioles this year. If they don't eat any money and trade him, I do think he contributes much better than last year. Obviously, last year was just kind of a down year, but he's had those years a lot in his career. You get him healthy, even if he doesn't play because you don't righty-lefty matchups. But if you get him at bats in 90-ish games, like I think he helps the Orioles a lot this year. I'm still high on Tyler O'Neill. The guy had the fourth highest OPS plus of all outfielders in 2024. It's not like he's a bad player. He just, along with the rest of the roster last year, just sucked and was crushed with injuries. Now, he's more injury prone than the rest of the roster is, but the whole team sucked last year. So I'm not just going to sit here and just blame Tyler O'Neill, even though he was, got the high money, but he was also a stepping stone to land a guy like Pete Alonso. Like, he was the guy that finally showed agents like, hey, the Orioles are ready to play ball and spend some money. Like, they had to find a guy and he was it. So he gets a little bit more criticism than they probably deserves, considering how bad the whole team was last year, but that's fine. Somebody's got to do it, I guess. Somebody's got to do it. It's the Blue Jays' fault. They both went 210 for 7. Yes. Yeah. Blue Jays definitely kind of screwed the market up a little bit, but it's whatever. Is Elias outside of the Alonso signing being a little too risky with the moves so far this offseason, given how last season went for him as the head guy? Helsley, Baz to 50-50. Should he be more aggressive? I think Helsley and Baz are good. They're good additions to this team. I think they're going to help a lot. Alonso obviously going to help a lot. Ward's going to help a lot. Can he be more aggressive? You want him to be because of the comments that they made about, like, money's no object. We're not afraid to operate in the red. Like, you want him to be a little bit more aggressive, but you don't want him to be dumb either. And, like, is Ranger and Framber worth 7? No, I don't think so. I really don't. Should you be the Yankees and just give those deals out? No, I don't think you should. Do you want to win and you have to do that stuff? Yeah, I hear that all the time. But when you're a mid-market team, and let's be honest, we're never going to be a large market team no matter how much money that Dave Rubenstein has. We're a mid-market team. We get mid-market crowds. That's not a shot at anybody. It's just you don't want them to overspend on guys that really don't deserve it, a la Framber and Ranger. Do I think he's in love with them? No. I think he likes them. I think they're the top option right now. I don't think he's in love with them. If he was in love with them, he'd go 6 years. That's plain and simple. I do think that he values the trade market a little higher than those two guys. But again, this is where it's hard to be a GM. When do you want to say, like, I'm not trading Trey Gibson because he could really help my baseball team for a lot of years? I'm not trading Nate George, or I'm not trading Mia, the guy who's throwing 102 miles an hour right now. Like, those are hard decisions to make for, to acquire an arm. Like, I don't know. I think he's doing a good job so far. but it comes down to just not being in love with Ranger or Framber. And I don't think I fault him for that just yet. Has a pitcher ever signed for $100 million between January and the end of spring training? That's a good question. I don't know. I'm sure. Dear Baltimore Orioles, we're starting pitcher for the Orioles in March and April 2026. What you mean, Michael? Oh, will they sign one, maybe? I hope before April. Definitely hope before April. Trade for Logan Webb or Peralta. Chances we both signed a top free agent starting pitcher and trade for a top end pitcher. I would love Logan Webb, but I think the Giants are going to go for it again. I don't think they're inclined to move him at all. But that's a guy that, just like Peralta, separates you from everybody else in the AL East. I would love to land one of those guys, and it would just have to come down to, do you want to get rid of a bunch of guys for 1 year, the whole Corbin Burns situation again? Because I don't know. But, look, if you sign Kyle Tucker or Cody Bellinger to a multi-year deal and you already had Pete Alonso and then you have Gunnar Henderson, if he came out and played well, I think a guy like Freddie Peralta is going to be like, yeah, I'd like to pitch there again. That's just me, though. Red Sox aren't paying Ranger big money if they won't pay what it takes for Bregman. Not concerned there. I mean, you offered Bregman, what did they do? 5 for $165. I mean, that's not cheap money. They've got money to spend, and I don't think Ranger hits $30 million. So, you were willing to go above 30 for Bregman. So, yeah, I think they have the money there if they want to. That's what makes me nervous. Less than that till pitchers and catchers report. Really? I thought I saw it on Baseball Savant. I usually check every other couple days. Let's see what they say today. 28 days. You were right. I was looking at the other one. 38 days for spring training games. My bad. 71 days until opening night. 50 days until the World Baseball Classic. That's going to be a banger this year. That's going to be a banger. Owen Casey and Cabrera did not help the trade market either. Yeah. Especially for a guy that might have an elbow issue. That's just weird. But there were some concerns I've read about Casey, that maybe the Cubs sold high on him right now. There's always those people that put that kind of stuff out. I'm not sure. Mayo back to Norfolk would cause a riot. It might. That's what he's anticipating right now. Obviously, nobody can ever really anticipate being traded, but I don't think keeping him is a terrible idea either. I mean, I personally don't think the market is there for him to acquire a big time arm, because do teams really need first baseman that often that they want to trade for one? Most teams have their first baseman kind of already set, and or have a guy in the minor leagues that they're ready to kind of move to that position eventually. I don't know. I don't know what his value is. I just don't think it's as high as our fans think it is. Or he'd already been moved, in my opinion. If Kobe Mayo has a Mark Trumbo type career, would you say that's success? Absolutely. Mark played a lot of years in this league, and it's very hard to make it in this league and then stay in this league. So if you make it in this league and then stay, I say that's a damn good success. Damn good success. Steal Lucas Giolito without breaking the bank. That's a possibility. Giolito's good. Does it satisfy the fan base? Probably not. But again, if you get a bunch of guys that are throwing mid to upper threes, a bunch of them, 3 of them in your rotation, maybe 4 of them, you're looking at a team that's going to win 95 ball games. I'm sorry to tell you that. Without a top of the rotation guy. Now, obviously, when you get to October, everything is different. But if you can get to the trade deadline when you're 10, 15 games up, does it matter how you got there? No, then you go make the big swing. But I think the team right now is good enough to get to that point, 10, 15 games up. But Giolito obviously helps that cause too. He's just not going to put you over the top. Do you worry about Framber or Ranger and save that money for Skubal and Peralta next year? That's a big question. Because you never want to just say oh, I'm going to save for this guy next year because I think I have a chance. Because you really might not have a chance. And then you got nothing, right? So you always want to try and get what you can first and then deal with the rest later. But I just don't think they're in love with them, like I kind of stated before. I guess the invite to spring training list. it might be a different show. It might be a different show. It'd be a good one. The Red Sox made O'Neill quit lifting weights. Orioles needed the same. I agree. That dude's ripped. If we were already in on Suárez for 5 years, is 6 years really that unrealistic? If we want him, just go get him. That's where it comes down to. Do you love the guy or do you just like him? Like if you loved him, 6 years is probably a no-brainer. Like you're just like, all right, whatever. He's going to help me out a lot here. I don't see a problem going this route. But if you don't love him and you're already like, man, I got to pay this guy 5 years. Like, what if he sucks after 3? Like, if that's already in your mind, then what? You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's pretty telling that they don't love Ranger. They just probably really like him. But we'll see. Boris is good at this. He's good at waiting it out. He's waiting for somebody to get desperate. So we'll see what he gets. How much is Scooball getting if he wins 3 Cy Youngs in a row? Ooh, I don't know, man. I mean, what are they saying right now? Like 400? It'd be tough to think that a pitcher gets above 400, but you just never know. Scooball's going to the Dodgers? I hope not. I really hope not. Ike Irish should be highly valued. I like Ike. Ike hits the ball real well. I defensively, was he as good as Bodine? Maybe not. I think he probably projects more at maybe outfield, first base kind of thing. He just strikes the ball really well. But look, Easton Anderson did the same kind of thing, but he's still behind the plate, so you never know. You never know what Ike's career is going to end up be. I bet good money Camden's packed for. Look, it don't matter who's on that bobblehead. I think Camden Yards gets packed for any kind of bobblehead. We like our bobbleheads around here. Snell signed for over $100 million very late. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then he struggled. Thoughts on Nunez? Saw he's on the 40-man. Besides being in the Mullins trade, not much. So he was going to be in the Rule 5 draft. I don't think he's going to make the major league roster, but he does throw up near 100. Could he squeeze in and be that second guy with options? Maybe. The Orioles are in a good spot early in the season because of a lot of the days off to kind of accumulate for the rain. They don't need to have a stout bullpen right away. You can kind of maybe float around and try a couple different guys with options early on. You might see Nunez break camp with the team. Not 1,000% sure. I think you probably see Cano down in AAA, which might make some room for Nunez in the bullpen. I still want to go and get like Michael Kopech and then maybe like Sir Anthony Dominguez again. I want a stout bullpen. I'm okay with just one guy having some options. If you go with 2, that's fine too. But I would prefer Kopech over Nunez, to be completely honest with you. But I mean, you got to see what he's got to do a little bit more on the higher levels. I think he pitched briefly in AA last year, maybe AAA. I don't 100% remember, but just not enough to really gauge if he's good enough to break camp just yet. I bet you see a lot of him in spring training, though. Could we see a Blake Snell type situation with Valdez and Suárez where they only agree to what's practically a 1-year deal? You talking about like a deal with opt-outs and whatnot? Maybe. I don't know. Does Aloy get an invite this year? I don't think so. No, but he'll get. They call guys up from the minors all the time to kind of like finish out the game late. I bet you he's up. I'd say 4 times, maybe 5 times. You'll see him a good bit. Respectively, the Orioles aren't even considering Bellinger or Tucker Bro, nor at any point this offseason. I disagree with that a little bit. There's been some internal grumblings. They've had some conversations with Kyle Tucker. They've had some recent conversations too. Do you think all big-name free agents sign before spring training? I bet you one lingers. I don't know who, but I bet you one lingers into spring training. I don't know how far into it, but at least one. The Brewers need a first baseman with Hoskins. They have the one guy, and I forget who it is. He had an okay season. His name is slipping my mind right now, but he's okay. But I feel like they could be fine with him there. Who was it? No, it wasn't Luke Adams. No. Where are we at here? Let's look at this one. First base. Andrew Vaughn. Vaughn had an okay season last year. He had a 718 OPS, 254 average, 14 home runs, 65 RBIs. Okay season. I mean, he was born in 98, so he's not terribly old. He's 28. I mean, I could see them being okay with him. I don't think they would upgrade from him for Kobe Mayo. Mayo didn't show enough to do that. Unless traded for and extended by someone this offseason, any chance where anyone is close to the screwball sweepstakes next offseason? How's our pitching development coming along? Pitching development's pretty good. We've got some guys in the pipeline that are pretty good. Levi Wells, Blake Money, obviously Trey Gibson. Luis De Leon's coming on pretty strong. Braxton Bragg, before he got hurt, was coming on pretty strong. Patrick Riley comes back this year. So there's some guys that are coming in and out. Zach Fruit hopefully takes a big step this year. So pitching development, I think, is going pretty good. Probably a lot better than most fans expect. But I don't know. As far as Skubal goes, it's going to be tough, man. I feel like everyone should be in on that. I think Detroit would be really stupid to trade him. But, I mean, teams have been stupid all year, so who knows? Who are the relievers I like for us to acquire? Michael Kopech, 100%. The guy throws 100 miles an hour. He's good. Damn good. Damn good slider. Excuse me. Shanty Dominguez is fine. He walks a lot of guys, but he's still fine. I don't know. There's some other guys that maybe trade for. I would love to trade for Garrett Cleavinger from Tampa, the big lefty. Griffin Jacks from Tampa. Edwin Yacida from Tampa. Tampa's got some damn good relievers. I would love some of those guys. What's up, brother? How are you? Overpay for Pablo Lopez, Mayo, and Cowser? Might get it done. I'm not sure. If the O's go 6 years at Ranger, would that get it done? That's apparently what he's asking for. Right now, it's a game of chicken. Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh switch jobs. I would never watch football again. Mike Tomlin stinks. John Harbaugh stinks. Sign Tucker or Bellinger and then trade for Alcantara and Gore. Trading for both. Oof. Skubal will be the blockbuster Oriole deal. And that would be like half the freaking roster to get that one done. It'd be fun. But passing on Mai was stupid. So it was interesting to hear that several teams that viewed him as a bullpen arm, which shocked me. Like I thought this guy was going to be a coveted starter, but they were like, no, we want this guy for bullpen. Like apparently his market wasn't that great as a starter. So that was interesting to hear. I mean, obviously they know a lot more than we do, but it was weird. I've heard reports of Tucker, but nothing about Bellinger. Boris dropped some hints at the winter meetings. I don't think anybody picked up on it. Talking about birds flying and stuff like that. Like he's had conversations with Mike. Just Mike's talking to Boris about everybody and everything because Boris owns everything. They've had conversations about everybody. Let's put it that way. Yeah, Andrew Vaughn at first. Yeah. Vaughn's good. I would take Vaughn over Mountie. Right. And I think most people would too. And honestly, I think Vaughn would probably be taking over Kobe Mayo until he proves it. Nobody's going to trade away like Freddie Peralta for a guy that maybe he's good, maybe he's not. They would just get crushed for that. Did you just say someone born in 98 is not that old? I was in 10th grade in 98. What does that make me? I was 10 in 98. I was 10. So I was, 37? So the guy's 27 years old. He's not that old. That's a good baseball number. Sox only offered 3 for Alonso. They needed him. They aren't paying more for Suarez than the O's. There were some reports that they only went 3. There was other reports that they literally had the same offer as the Orioles. It was like $5 million less. There's a lot out there. From what I was told from my guy, they basically had the exact same offer, and they took it back to him, and they didn't want to match, and he just flat out chose the Orioles at that point. So I don't know. There's things all out there. Laura, 10 gifted memberships. Holy shnikey. Whoa. What do we got here? We got to play that a couple times. Sorry if that's loud. I apologize. Holy crap, Laura. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I thought you answered this, but how long is the Elias's leash really? We're 4-5 in the East in a month and a half, and they pull the plug, or is it longer than that? I think it's still longer than that. You know, obviously, if they finish the year Like if we get to the trade deadline and they're like 10 games under again, then yeah, they probably pull the plug. But I think this is going to be a competitive team. I think his leash is fine. He's got plenty of time. He's made some moves. At this point, he's brought in a great coaching staff. So you landed Pete Alonso. You made your trade for Taylor Ward. So if he extends Trevor Rogers at this point, or Kyle Bradish, or Gunnar Henderson, I think he's definitely locked in for a good bit. But I don't think he has any leash concerns at the moment. Man, look at all these guys. The Chef got a gifted membership. Thomas Downey, Wave Sirius. What is that? Chantal Holland got one. Daiichi got one. Austin Kaufman got one. Matt Just Zero got one. Patrick Cashauer got one. Texas O's fan got one. Irish Dave. Man, thank you very much, Laura. I truly appreciate that. Truly appreciate that. We need more members. I appreciate that. W on the gifted. Orioles, yeah, big time. You guys are awesome. And we got another guy celebrating a month of membership. Orioles, thank you so much. I appreciate you as well. Damn, we got 5 more. Charm City Entertainment, 5 more gifteds. Let's go. Hop in with the air horn. Hopefully you guys can hear that. Maybe not. I don't know if you can or not. I'm hitting an air horn. I don't know if you can hear it. Let me see if you can hear it. Let's see. USB 1 chat. Yes, you should be able to hear that. Wow. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate that. I saw a report the Orioles offered Gunnar a $400 million extension. What's the likelihood he would have taken that? I think that was last year, and I think Boris told him to hold on because he thinks he can get more. Yeah, I remember that one. It's crazy times we're living in, isn't it? So it looks like Country RT got a gifted from Charm City. Captain Thenerius, Duncan Clayton, Mario Power, and Izana all got gifted memberships from Charm City. Thank you guys very much, Laura and Sean. Thank you guys. I've really, truly, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate that. You don't know how much that means to me. Do I think if the Orioles don't get a frontline starter, Mike Elias' days are numbered? Rubenstein keeps saying he puts no restraints. I don't think so. And I say that because I think this team right now is good enough to get to the trade deadline with a significant winning record. I think it's a very good team right now. And now, if he fumbles a trade deadline, then we're talking a different story, obviously. But I think he's done enough to get to this team to start off hot this season. And a lot of that's going to be done via coaching. They're going to get the young guys playing at a much higher level. I think the culture in the locker room is going to be much better than it was last year. So I think you're going to see a more energized Orioles team. It's going to take the extra bases. They're going to look engaged during the games. They're not going to look like they don't want to be there anymore. So I don't fault Mike Elias if he doesn't get a frontline starter. Obviously, there's still some other guys available. There's still the trade route. I don't think that puts any kind of damper on his days or anything like that right now. Now, again, it all comes out of the trade deadline, though. They took DL Hall and Joey Ortiz for Burnt. Right. But, I mean, DL Hall, hard-throwing lefty premium again. We keep talking about it. And then Joey Ortiz, was considered one of the best gloves around. People just wasn't sure what they would do, with the bat or whatnot. Did you really just do another 5 gifted? My Lord, look at this. Whew, man. Thank you so much. Or did I hit that twice? No, you did it twice. King Trent TV, Scott Simpson, Gary Randolph, Lorda Baby, and then Dougman. All you guys, man, awesome. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate that. In terms of Ranger Suárez, why is the difference between 5 and 6? 5 we like him, 6 we love him. Why the jump? I would just say that just because like 6 for starting pitchers a lot, especially if there is some kind of velocity concerns, if there's some kind of weight concerns, if there's a work ethic concern, guys get hurt. If he really does struggle, like, do you want to keep paying him for 6 years or that extra year you get that money back? And the biggest thing for him is like when you're looking at it, so Gunner's up in what, 29 or 30? So that's what, 4 years from now? Like, so you need a little bit of money coming off the books earlier because you got Holiday, you got Westberg, you've got Gunner. Maybe you throw Cowser in if he gets a little bit better at that point. Eventually you got to extend probably Dylan Beavers. You got Kyle Bradish, Trevor Rogers. So you got a lot of quality players coming up, and you just don't want a whole bunch on the books at all this time. especially the guy that might regress. So does it seem like a big deal from 5 to 6? No. But in the grand schemes of things and money cash flow, that's where it becomes a problem. But they might go 6. Who knows? I just don't think right now they want to. Rogers, Gunners, Bradish, and Westbrook shall be top extension. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we were just talking about that. Signed Belly and Framber. We need a ship. I agree with you. I don't know if it's going to be Framber or not, but listen, I don't care. You can hear it. All right, cool. Appreciate that, guys. Then Joe coming in with a $1.99 super chat. Bacon love from the I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you guys so much tonight. Can't get over how cheap the Royals got with. That's what happens when your dad, negotiates the contract. If he had Scott Boras, that might have been $500 million, $600 million, maybe. Like that's the differences in baseball, man. Why are the Orioles scheduled for an arbitration hearing over a small amount of money with Bradish? Usually it comes down to injuries and stuff like that. I think they probably settle that before arbitration actually hits, like the actual hearing. I think they settled that prior. Do I think the Orioles go to Gore or Peralta way if Suarez and Valdez go other places? Yeah, you would have to at that point, because I think if you don't, that becomes a failure. Even though I do think the rotation is good enough, like you spoke too much and you got people too excited to just be content with your starting rotation. Like I think you do have to make some kind of move, only because you put yourself in that situation. I'm content with my starting rotation, but I don't know. That's just me. Why hasn't Bradish been paid yet? Good question. They go through this every so often. Every team does. I mean, Jared Duran just had it last year, $500K? So it happens. What do I think the Yankees trading for Ryan Weathers? I wanted Ryan Weathers here so bad. I like Weathers. I mean, you got a guy, he's a lefty throwing 97. He's still got 3 years control. Like, I wanted him. I think he's going to be great for the Yankees. It's a good spot for him, too. It's a shame that we have to go against that, honestly. I wouldn't touch Valdez or Suarez. One explosive mental thing. The other one is beginning to show signs of a decline with injury. I'd trade for Alcantara and Gore at this time. Alcantara's kind of fallen off too. I mean, could he get better? Sure. Could Gore get better? Sure. Like everybody has their pros and cons and stuff like that. So it just get me a guy. At this point, just get me a guy. Do you think the Orioles go the Peralta and Gore way if Valdez and Suarez get snapped? Yeah. Who do I think we give up? That's the big question. Do you want to sign a Harrison Bader or Cody Bellinger to play center and make Hauser available or make Beavers available? Like, do you want to trade from your major league roster? Your minor leagues is not as good as some of the other teams that have multiple top 100 guys, but there's a couple avenues that this team could take to get better. Who they give up and who the other team's value is completely different. Like, obviously, we all value Kobe Mayo. We think he's got a lot of, prospect status and trade value, where other team might just be like, I don't need a first baseman because I got 3 of them right now. Like, who else you got? Right. And now you got to start adding multiple guys in because you're not giving that top guy that you thought you could. It all just comes down to what teams need. It's so hard to kind of put that stuff together. Don't the Nationals need a first baseman? Yeah, maybe. Everybody could use a guy that's a little bit better, but like you got to feel like that everybody already has guys in their system that like they could move there, like catchers that maybe aren't going to stick behind the plate, or outfielders that like Noel that are pretty slow that could learn first, or something. They all have their Kobe Mayos that they're going to move. So to think that we can just kind of ship them off somewhere else, it's going to be really tough to do. Really tough to do. Sean, thanks again, man. Another gifted. That's what, 11 tonight? Golly, look at that, man. Any validity to the Brenton Doyle rumors? I was told that they were false. I asked about them pretty early on. I was just told they were false. I didn't know it was Pops that shorted his superstar son. Yeah. I mean, look, he got him a good deal. Kansas City doesn't have the funds to pay people. And we kind of heard, I don't know if you guys heard the podcast the other day with Jose Ramirez. And he basically was like, look, I love Cleveland. I know that they can't pay me like some of these other teams could, but I wanted to be here. I wanted to show my appreciation to them. So I took the deal. They knew they couldn't pay me. I knew they couldn't pay me. It just came down to like, let's get in the middle here. Let's get me something fair. And I want to be here for a long time. So some guys think like that. Some guys say, let me get the whole bag. But I think Bobby falls into that line of, I like Kansas City. I owe them I'm content playing here for a very long time. Let's get a deal done. And I have no issues with that. He still gets a lot of money. Next year's free agency class is much better. I'd rather extend one of our current starters and then wait to jump in next year. It's possible. You just don't want to come away with nothing both years. That's my only concern. Wife told me enough for now. I'd keep going. You don't have to keep going, dude. I 1,000% appreciate it. Please don't ever feel like you have to do anything. Anybody don't ever feel like you have to do that stuff. It is appreciated. Just know that from me. It's definitely appreciated. I'd rather have Gore than Suárez personally. Gore's good and he's got a lot of room to get better for sure. Michael Witt coming in as a member. Man, look at you guys tonight. You're killing it. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you all so much tonight. It's crazy. Do I think Rogers continued his ace or regresses to a 3 ERA? I think a 3 ERA is still fine for him. I think he probably regresses back to the mean of that. But he unlocked some stuff last year, so who knows? Who really knows? Like that slider was really on point last year. You know, he was getting guys to miss the fastball. The location got better. Like his stamina got better. So who really knows what we're going to get at Trevor Rogers? I don't even think he knows. I think he's just going up there confident in himself, and he's going to throw the ball in the corners and then kind of see what happens. So I think we're all going to be sitting there waiting for that one. Do I think Povich could be as good as a reliever as he typically is good his first 2 rounds time of the order? I do think he'd be pretty good, especially against lefties, because he gets lefties out, like I said, early in the count. It's like a sub 200 average too. They don't hit him very hard. I don't know. He's young enough where another team might value him as a starter. I don't know. But I do think he would thrive in the bullpen like that Brian Mattis route. I think it's a little too early to give up on him just yet. Give me the big bat, trade for the arm. That's how, yeah, we share the same ideas there, Chad. Is Rogers pitching in the mid-high threes? He's still an ace and hit your eyes. Yeah, yeah, that's fine. Yeah. A threes is still a very good ace. Doesn't have to be the ace, but of the league, but it's still a very good ace. Is the upcoming trade deadline that more important than this offseason for our lives? Pitchers outside of Mia to watch for in our org, player development-wise? Trey Gibson, obviously, Levi Wells, Blake Money, Luis De Leon, Patrick Riley's coming back this year if Braxton Bagg comes back. Zach Fruit throws near 100 miles an hour. If he can kind of get his control under command a little bit, he's a guy to watch out for. So there's some guys around. Definitely go to Bowie or Chesapeake if you live close by. They're gonna be loaded with talent this year. I don't think you're getting Peralta for anything less than Holiday. The Brewers only need a shortstop. Yeah, I mean, Paul makes a good point there too. So it all comes down to what teams need, and that's a big thing. Like, could we trade a Loy? Maybe. I don't know. I doubt it because he's not close, but who knows? Who knows? It's good to know they're at least making a legitimate effort on front-end starter instead of thinking they aren't making it as a C-level effort as best as they were in the past. I agree with you, Adit. I agree with you. We haven't heard yet. Like I was saying earlier, Andy Kotza is on vacation skiing, so maybe we hear when he gets back, or if somebody finds out first. I think the period's coming up soon, so maybe we hear before then. I don't know. Do you think Gunnar falls into the I want to be in Baltimore or takes a deal with the Yankees or Red Sox or Dodgers? That's the thing. Like, some guys can convince Boris to, like, hey, I want to be here. Let's get it done. Other guys, Boris convinces them to take the monies. It all comes down to what Boris kind of convinces him. I think he's a small town guy. He grew up in a small area. He's a people guy. I could see him saying, like, I want to be here. Let's get it done. But I've been wrong before. I'm about to wrap it up, so I'm just kind of flying through the last bit of comments here. Which offseason free agent class is better in terms of quality over quantity? Last offseason or this one? That's a good question. That's tough. That's really tough, to be honest with you. I would say probably maybe this one. This one had some bigger offensive names at least than last one. Not sure though. Was Cease Elias's number one? I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. But I am going to wrap it up tonight. It's already 10:10. We've been rolling here for an hour and 24 minutes. Holy crap. Yeah, I got to get him go to work at about 6 hours. So I got to try and get some sleep. I'd only trade Holiday for Scuball if we signed another bat. 100% agree. Gunnar would be in Atlanta, too close to home, or Baltimore. I could see with that too. Yeah, I am going to wrap it up tonight. Thank you guys very, very much tonight. Laura and Sean dropping all those freaking gifted subs. That was what? 21 gifted subs. And then Michael came in as a member himself, or gifted memberships. I'm sorry. So 22 total memberships tonight. You guys are outstanding. Then Joe coming in with a $1.99 super chat. I appreciate you guys just coming here and just talking ball with me. Like for real. It's a good time for me to kind of just get on here and interact with you guys. I love talking baseball. It's just me. So you guys coming out and spending your time with me and watching and all is awesome for me. But to come in and get 22 gifted memberships, that's a dream come true, to be honest with you guys, because this is not something I ever thought was going to take off the way that it has. So that's all kudos to you guys for this happening. So, again, hopefully something pops and we can get on and talk about it, but it's been slow. It's been boring. I haven't had too much to talk about. I didn't want to come in here and just kind of talk about nothing. But again, my concern level is a little high, but it's not terrible high. I still think the deal gets done. I just don't want somebody else to swoop in and pull the rug out from underneath this. So, but yeah, I will catch you guys later. Again, thank you to every single person that stopped in tonight. Looks like there was 1,155 of you total tonight. Holy crap. But I appreciate all of you, and I hope you all have a fantastic night. Let's get something going, Mike Elias, because I need something to talk about. So let's get going. All right, catch you guys later.